We're learning more about the suspect in Sunday night's mass shooting out in Las Vegas that killed 59 people and injured more than 500. The details are disturbing. Of course, Stephen Paddock had an arsenal of weapons of war up in his hotel room. Police found now it counts to 23 guns he had there. There were 19 more guns found in his home with explosives and thousands of bullets. He also had 2 bump stocks. Those are devices that can make semi-automatic weapons mimic fully automatic ones. In other words, machine guns. In fact, you can hear the sound of one. Listen. Every bit of that sound could be used to kill people, and it did. Should these lines of weapons be available in this country? Well, today, President Trump praised the response to the shooting. He tweeted, "I am so proud of our great country. God bless America." Before boarding a flight to Puerto Rico, he was asked if now is the time for stiffer gun laws.
Look, we have a tragedy. We're going to do, and what happened in Las Vegas is in many ways a miracle. The police department has done such an incredible job, and we'll be talking about gun laws as time goes by. But I do have to say, how quickly the police department was able to get in was really very much of a miracle. They've done an amazing job.
Who came up with that leisure suit he's wearing? Anyway, the president, many Republicans want to put off a discussion on gun laws, obviously, put off permanently. They argue now's not the time, though there never will be a time. Those poor dears, they can't handle the conversation. But while we might never know the shooter's motive, we do know his ballistic capability. And the question now, are we willing to live in a society where incidents like this become fairly regular happenings? By the way, they are. We begin with the latest on the investigation itself. NBC's Steve Patterson is in Las Vegas. Steve, thank you for your reporting. Tell us what's the up-to-date accounting of how much weaponry, how much firepower this man possessed.
Well, Chris, you just said it best. This is an arsenal fit for war, at least a small militia inside that hotel room. 23 weapons. Right now, though, we're next to the crime scene. It's very active. You saw police activity to my left. Beyond this police line is a street. Beyond that street is a barrier. Beyond that barrier is the Route 91 concert festival, where those 22,000 people were packed in, and that shooter was firing down below. Inside that hotel room, you said it, a variable arsenal. We're talking about a mixture of semi-automatic long guns along with stocks for stability, scopes for distance, hammers to break out the windows, and as we learned tonight, cameras both in and outside of that hotel room, as the sheriff put it, to see if the police were going to be greeted by the suspect. All of this to say, as the sheriff said today in a press conference, he believes that this was a meticulously planned attack, a meticulously planned mass murder upon those people below. That's not to mention the 19 guns that were found in his home or the explosive material that was found in the suspect's car. Chris?
All of it legal, right, as we know?
Well, look, Chris, this is Nevada. I mean, people come to Nevada to fire fully automatic weapons. There are gun ranges up and down the strip. If you want to do that, you can. You don't need a permit for most weapons here. You don't need a registration for most weapons here. Machine guns are regulated a little bit more tightly because that's a federal thing, but there are so many loopholes in this state to get around that, including modification. And as we've been mentioning, at least one, maybe two of those weapons were heavily modified, if not for fully automatic fire, then for nearly fully automatic fire. Chris?
And now Las Vegas will be known, among other things, for this. Thank you, NBC's Steve Patterson. Great reporting out in Las Vegas. For more, let's bring in USA Today's Heidi Presley here with me, and Washington Post columnist Eugene Robinson also next to me, and U.S. Congressman Ruben Kihuen of Nevada. Congressman, I want to talk to you about this. Gun control. I mean, I grew up in Pennsylvania. I know it's a touchy issue. Where's it going to take a state like yours that goes all the way, practically all the way to Tommy guns, in terms of law enforcement and in terms of whether we use the law to control weaponry?
Chris, thoughts and prayers are important, but we need to do a lot more. It's time for action. It's time for Congress in each state to take it upon themselves to pass laws to protect our American citizens. It is unacceptable what happened yesterday here in Las Vegas, and it is unacceptable all across the country.
Well, what do the people feel that you represent? I mean, you must be in touch with you today. You must be getting calls. Do they want gun control, or do they want us to lay off and let them be libertarians about it?
Look, our state of Nevada has already in the last election, passed a ballot initiative to have universal background checks. Unfortunately, it's caught up in the courts because the AG refuses to listen to the will of Nevadans. And so we're going to continue fighting this in the court. We have to fight this at the congressional level. And I am asking my colleagues in Congress that we need to take action. Thoughts and prayers are important, but it's not enough. We have to take action in Congress.
You know, my theory about this is that we'll spend a lot of time trying to figure out the psychology of this killer who did all this murder the other day and mayhem, and we'll probably never get to the bottom of it. But we can get to the bottom of what he possessed and his capability. And my suggestion, I'll put it to you as a lawmaker, if you give 100 people the kind of weaponry that this guy had, put it in their hands, a lot of them are going to use it. It's just a question of access and availability and knowing that every several hundred people are going to have a little problem, a little anger that day. If you give everybody the gun, somebody's going to use them. And my question to you is, how can people defend the ability of people to go out and buy all this hardware, all this, and be able to just to upgrade a gun to a Tommy gun, basically, because they feel like doing it?
Look, it's incomprehensible to me how this killer managed to bring 23 weapons into the hotel room. It's incomprehensible to me how he had thousands and thousands of ammo. You know, there's got to be a limit to the amount of,
who would have stopped
ammo
him?
and the magazine.
Under the law you have out in Nevada, who would have stopped him?
This is exactly why we need to change the law. This is exactly why Americans are fed up with Congress and with our legislators, because they refuse to take action. You know, we're tired of seeing rhetoric. We're tired of seeing these type of shootings. We have to take action, and it has to be immediately.
A year from now, will the laws be any different?
Look, we saw what happened in Pulse a year ago. Nothing has changed since that shooting. Now we have the largest, the biggest mass shooting in the country in its history, unfortunately, right here in my state. That is unacceptable. The American people deserve better. The American people deserve to feel safe.
Thank you so much, Congressman, for joining us. Congressman Keywen of Nevada. I want to go back to Heidi and to Gene. Gene, you know, and I love parallels. I know you write about parallels. You're given to that like all great columnists. You know, we couldn't win in Vietnam because we're going to stay. They're going to stay there, and we're going to come home.
Yeah, right.
Well, the people who are for gun control get interested in something for a while, but the gun owners stay with it. They never leave it. They're the home team, and they're never going to let people touch their guns.
Exactly, and they always have the edge on intensity on that image, and that has been the case for years and years and years, and is certainly the case now. And you know, looking at the national level, the federal level, this Congress and this president, I wish I could work myself up into thinking that something would happen, but I can't.
Heidi, once you get west of New York State, in fact, better stay down the city part of New York, the suburban part, you run into gun country. I grew up with it all the way from Allentown all the way out to goddamn Wyoming. Anywhere you are, it's all gun country, except maybe Chicago. And there they got their own gun problem with the gangs. But you can't be a senator from one of those states, Democrat or Republican, get serious about gun control.
And
it doesn't work.
Here's what has happened in that gun culture that has been such a bloody and devastating shift in our gun culture.
I shouldn't say damned Wyoming. I actually like that state, but it's all part of that whole swath of people that are very pro-gun.
Okay, Chris, but what's happened to gun culture over the past 10 to 30 years? We've gone from just your traditional bolt-action pistols that people use for hunting, but that wasn't going to last forever, and the NRA knew that. They knew that hunting culture is decreasing. So they start pushing these semi-automatic weapons and pump out the fear and the paranoia as well. That, first of all, convincing people that they need the semi-automatics to defend themselves, that these pistols are not going to do the trick. You need these street weapons, these war weapons to defend yourself.
And how do you use one of those? You go, somebody's knocking on your window, they're trying to get in your house. You go find the machine gun.
Right, you go find your machine gun, and what do you do? I mean, it's just, it's ridiculous as a defensive weapon. It's ridiculous as a weapon to use to shoot a deer or a rabbit or anything. Yeah. I mean, but there are 300 million guns in this country, and an awful lot of them are assault rifles.
Well, what do you think? We're going to get these people on as the day's going, but to the real gun person, what's their reaction to this horror? What do they say? Well, the guys, I know what it is. Evil.
There's nothing you can do. They say there's nothing that you can do because if these people are evil and they want to get the guns, they're going to get them. but they completely dismiss, when confronted with any of the facts, that this is a unique problem in our country. So either there's something wrong with our laws, or we have a unique high number of evil people in our country.
There has been polling of gun owners and of NRA members, and in both cases, they've shown majorities, for example, in favor of universal background checks.
90-some%.
Exactly, and to say nothing of the opinion of the whole country, which is even more in favor of universal background checks, just as a first step. And we could not even get that after Newtown. After
Because it comes back to intensity. Who killed Newtown? It was the red state Democrats. A number of Republicans like John McCain and Susan Collins found it within themselves to vote for that modest measure. It was the red state Democrats who feared, had this outsized fear of the NRA, which in the end was not there for them. Folks like Mark Begich,
takes an absolute position, and the NRA is still one of the most powerful lobbies in town.
Let me give you the latest example of loony. Last night on his show, The 700 Club, Pat Robertson blamed the shooting in Las Vegas and other acts of violence on a lack of respect for authority, including for President Trump. Let's watch him.
Violence in the streets, ladies and gentlemen. Why is it happening? You know, what I'd like to give you is the fact that we have disrespect for authority. There is profound disrespect of our president all across this nation. They say terrible things about him. It's in the news. It's in other places. There's disrespect now for our national anthem, disrespect for our veterans, disrespect for the institutions of our government, disrespect for the court system, all the way up and down the line, disrespect. And when you lose that kind of respect, you lose this authority.
So those on the progressive side of issues are responsible for gun
Exactly,
like this.
exactly. Well, that's just ridiculous and offensive, borderline.
He's a
obscene.
Yale law graduate, you know.
Borderline obscene, though. But I mean, I think
this biblical, these prophets of our
When you
time,
don't have the facts on your side, you make it about culture of the other side.
Exactly.
He went back to his battle stations. I think that guy should retire. Anyway, thank you, Heidi. As always, Heidi Presblatt and Eugene Robinson. Every bit of that sound could be used to kill people, and it did. Should these lines of weapons be available in this country? Well, today, President Trump praised the response to the shooting. He tweeted, "I am so proud of our great country. God bless America." Before boarding a flight to Puerto Rico, he was asked if now is the time for stiffer gun laws.
How quickly the police department was able to get in was really very much of a miracle. They've done an amazing job.
Who came up with that leisure suit he's wearing? Anyway, the president, many Republicans want to put off a discussion on gun laws, obviously, put off permanently. They argue now's not the time, though there never will be a time. Those poor dears, they can't handle the conversation. But while we might never know the shooters who had two bump stocks, those are devices that can make semi-automatic weapons mimic fully automatic ones. In other words, machine guns. In fact, you can hear the sound of one. Listen. Pause.
Look, we have a tragedy. We're going to do, and what happened in Las Vegas is in many ways a miracle. The police department has done such an incredible job, and we'll be talking about gun laws as time goes by. But I do have to say,
we're learning more about the suspect in Sunday night's mass shooting out in Las Vegas that killed 59 people and injured more than 500. The details are disturbing. Of course, Stephen Paddock had an arsenal of weapons of war up in his hotel room. Police found now it counts to 23 guns he had there. There were 19 more guns found in his home with explosives and thousands of bullets. He also